Exodus part 9, and I'm looking for these formats here. These are the first writer's formats, I believe. I truly believe this is the text that the bad guys started with, the corrupt priest that had a meditation practice of having sex with the so-called female goddess. And I'm sure you don't know that, but I've mentioned it before, and and you'll find that many times listed in my videos. I left off abruptly last time by letting you know I got to explain. There's a lot of explaining to be done here, because this is the 4-verse grouping, and I needed to add the word "this" to be forever because it's going to be a sin offering. Notice how they're trying to change what we found before, that our Creator called it a sin offering for the priest to be anointed. Let me go back up here real quick. I want to make sure that who's ever here and sees us, see this, the word sin offering. This defines sin offering, this burning of the offering on the altars. Okay. Therefore, I got to keep explaining all this. It is to be done on the outside. That's where the priests were standing in the beginning. So it has to be added here to meet this 4-verse grouping, and not by the doorway for the fence. That it would be for the priest only. Because this text is almost talking, or pretty much talking, about how the priests do this, not for the first time to be anointed for a priest. But when a priest is brought in, yes, same thing as the priests were by the gate. Everybody else, when I talked about how they camped in the Sinai, or when they marched into the Promised Land, wherever they camped in order by the sons, and this is where they would find their priest and know where their priest is at and know where to go to ask for the forgiveness of sin. Their priest is to come before me. Then that priest comes to him to ask for their atonement. The whole thing is talking about a sin offering in the presentation, and it's this word atonement is to be asking for this forgiveness. Atonement is, don't use that word randomly when you speak, Christians. The word atonement has this special meaning about forgiveness of sin only. Don't use secular words. Try to understand the words that I'm trying to make sure that are correctly said in each verse here that you're seeing, or each sentence. And then I will speak to them at that time. Right now here, this text says our Creator speaks to that priest. Now, it is not written if our Creator does not accept them. But if he does forgive their sins, they are redeemed. There's another word you can't be using stupidly. It's hooked to redeeming your sin, or forgiveness of sin. So you're now able to enter into heaven. But here at this time, what would happen, and it's nowhere in the text, if our Creator said, I don't accept that offering, meaning that the guy is out there, he's lying, trying to fool to stay around and look good for himself. So the thing here is, the way I understand it would have been, they would have been kicked out of the whole nation of Israel. They would have packed that family up and they had to leave. Okay? So don't think that there wasn't punishment for not atoning sin, like everybody gets forgiven. They don't always forget to be forgiven. This is for the atonement. They're asking for the atonement. Why would he be speaking to the priest then? The priest needed the final okay. All right. So there has to be punishment for those that didn't get forgiven, and that would have been leave the nation of Israel. So they would have been banished. A lot of text is removed. I forgot that you guys here don't know that real quick. These are the reasons why I get rid of the blue text. The yellow is what I'm adding to the verse to get this one's going to now go back to 3 verse instead of 4 verse. And I use this forward slash to change the word. And whenever I'm adding a word that's needed to complete the sentence to make sense of it, will be in green text. So when I'm changing Israel to tribes, sons of Israel are known as tribes. I need only one word here to explain what they've done in 3. So, but they are to command their elders that they are speak to their tribes and to rest on their 7th. Now, here again, it's just a reminder of what's in the commandment. And the commandment is it's the holy day. The 7th day is a holy day to be with him. There are to be no work with him. So here, when I'm using the word rest, is it right? I think I'm going to change this word right now in front of you. Obey. Obey is better. And some of you know I make errors, and so I need to correct it in the text going forward because all the text is done. I don't do videos until I really read over the text a little bit and try to get it as in the correct order as possible. So it has to be that they are to obey on their 7th. Obey, and this word doesn't need to be here. Oops. Obey their 7th, yep. Sorry, I need to correct it over here. And save it so I don't forget to do that. And it'll be a sign between me and theirs to remember I am who will redeem, not sanctified. Sanctified means to make holy. They aren't holy. They're being redeemed to be able to enter into heaven. They don't know this at this time. Okay? There is no promise yet of them going to heaven. So the whole understanding has to be to stay within his nation. Okay? So, but redeemed, yes, redeemed. Who I am who will redeem them. So again, that kind of points out to if the punishment is they're out. Okay? Whoever does any work on it, they are to be cut off from their people. Again, another perfect example of our Creator saying they're out. They're cut off from his people, meaning cut off from my nation. And the 6th day work is to be done, but not on the 7th. He's already said that there's going to be a lot of repeating of things. So will that text actually be kept around? Don't know yet. Okay, now this is we got to jump back, way back to the story, and I kind of even let it out in what was going to happen here. But Moses is called to when he finished speaking with him, way above, somewhere in the text, when he started describing the how the tent is to be built. This is what happened too. This would probably happen first. Um, uh, let's see. Yes, he gave them to Moses. He gave Moses the 2 tablets with his commandments written by YHVH'S finger. So you can see this is written by someone after. And I'm using the word YHVH here from here. I'm just pulling it forward in this verse. Even though they had it as God, which is usually Elohim. So in case I don't edit that word here, it was probably Elohim, and I need his name and not a title. When to because. Maybe I should try to see about that word there, because I don't think I went over this word before. I try to go over words that are used a lot to show you that I don't just pick words out of the thin air here. Now when, yeah, okay, so I'm showing you that Strong didn't feel it was a strong enough word to go into the text. Let me get rid of them. And you probably heard me say 12 commandments. There they are. Now, is there enough room for them to? Better take a screenshot of that if you want. I'm going to have to pull that down real quick. That's pretty large, and I see there's going to be text down here that I need up. Because Moses delayed to come down from the hill, not a mountain, like I explained to you, I showed you graphics of what's going on in the Sinai, and they're not too far away, and the mountains that are that large in the Sinai would be able to be seen, I believe, from where they were at, if they didn't see up over the hill, okay, that I have designated where they're at. Remember, they're camping all around, so some people towards the east would have seen the true mountains, and so it has to be a hill that he went up, and it's probably the same hill that he struck the water. So let me go here and go all the way down here, because I haven't put this map up yet. So let me get it here and then show you down here and get rid of that. This is where I believe where they were at, where he struck the rock, and where this hill is at this time. And if you notice how the mileage marker here, 60 miles going south, they would have seen these mountains that are really down here that are huge. These are all small hills. So the thing here is this is the hill, I believe, where they're at. So this is at where I am talking about. The 12 commandments, Moses struck the rock, manna from heaven was given from this area here. Okay, and then the story is going to say that Aaron helped them make it. No. He knows what a sin offering is. He knows what the commandments are already. And our Creator wouldn't have made him stupid. He knows our Creator. He was involved in the plagues. He doesn't go around and he makes this gold idol for them. So I've got the text removing the stupidity of the way they added the text. but it's some of our people assembled and went to Aaron and told him, we will make a god likeness. I need these two words hooked together, um, because they're going to be making an idol that they're going to sacrifice an animal to, or sacrifice to. And for us to go before it, who brought us up out of Egypt. See, they already got worried how just a few days Moses is gone, and he wasn't gone 40 days, 40 nights. 40 days and 40 nights is not written by Hebrew at this time, because they knew daylight and night was a day. So um, then their people gathered and they fashioned it with tools, and they made an ox. I removed the word calf here and have an ox. Um, the thing here is Egypt may have had a calf. The strength of our Creator coming out, they would have used an ox as this, because he did this in front of them, so they wouldn't have had the same copy as Egyptians. And this is our God Israel. Okay, telling the people around them, well, we made an idol and this is it. And then they made an announcement, tomorrow we will hold a feast. Not that we just need a feast, I need to add to get to the format, because these words are too important. I can't go without them, and I can't use the first above them, because they don't need to build an altar before it. But the object is, wait a second. Yeah, see, this is where Aaron has it, but the only thing is need an altar to make the sacrifice. Why did I miss that? Uh, this has to be corrected. Oops, I need those two words there. Okay. This has to be up here then. Tomorrow, they made an announcement. Tomorrow, we will. It needs to be added here. Have a feast to it, because this needs just to be taken out of it there. Okay. That was huge that I made. You had to go put that back in there, because I'm pretty sure if those that would have studied the text, they would have said, you remove something, there's something that he really skipped over. He's an idiot. Well, thank you, our creator. Okay, now they have this altar where they can sacrifice their sacrifice to it. Tomorrow we will have a feast to it. So yeah, I'm trying to read real quick and talk at the same time. A lot of times that doesn't work for me. So the next day they wrote early and offered their offerings. So people brought their offerings. Now their offerings are a little bit different than the offerings above. The offerings, um, so it should be their sacrifices. Whoops, it should be only one in the first one. Rose early and sacrificed would be a D. And they offered, wait a second, I don't need it here. And they offered their sacrifices. Okay, that's definitely needed. Whoop, live editing. Ta-da. If you would only know how long it takes to do these for me. Oh, man. Anyways, these are not easy to find, but they rode up early and offered their sacrifices. Egypt, the way they were sacrificing, they would sacrifice the animal and then they would eat the animal. And that needs to be made sure it's in the text as this, because you've just seen me go through above, and maybe in the last video it was, that the order of the sin offering had to be done for the high priest, and then it goes to the people. They sacrifice the animal on the outside, and then they cut it, and then they take the meat and the muscles, and then go burn it for it to be disappear up in smoke. Everything was a visual, because the person out there is waiting to see his offering to our Creator is being there, that he done it the way our Creator said. So they first sacrifice it, then they have an offering, and they don't eat it. They did. That becomes very important when you see in, I don't know if it's, I'm thinking it's in John, one of those 4 books, where Jesus doesn't understand the difference between an offering and a sacrifice. So that's more proof that Hebrews didn't write what you have. They wrote it, and then somebody has come through and overruled them. As you've seen today, money and power and killing people is, they don't care as long as they get their way, and they keep people under their thumb to rule over them, and they only like their wealth and power. They don't care for truth. And sat down and to eat it and drink. Okay, so here's the point that I was trying to make about the sacrifices. They do sit down and eat it. Then YV stopped Moses and told him, I need to introduce what's going on down here. Okay. It's just crazy when you start reading this. And I know this is one of them areas you would have had to double read your text. Go down at once, your people whom you brought up from Egypt. Well, he didn't bring him up from Egypt. Our Creator led him from Egypt. See how easy they switch the meanings of the words and what, taken our Creator's way and then just discarding it in the text. They have turned aside from me, not aside, but away from me. Same thing, I like the word away from me. And they had built an ox, and they worshiped to it, made for themselves a ox. See, this is the molted thing that, no, they had tools to make it, so it wasn't molted. To worship to it. They made it to worship to and have sacrificed offerings. This is not the right order. They have offered and sacrificed. Let me see if I got that right. They have made themselves an ox to worship to, and have offered sacrifices to it. Yes, this needs to be an S. This needs to be removed. Have offered. I can't think right now. Excuse me. No, yep. Change it. Get rid of it. And offered sacrifices to it. Am I running out of time yet? Nope. Only 26 minutes here. And then I have to continue the story. So Moses here is asking him, Moses asked him to turn from his anger and not change about the killing them, and then all this stuff about how he's going to kill the whole nation of Israel, which our Creator knows it wasn't a large group. So the thing here is the story has to be true, not kill them, those that done that. Now Moses is asked not to kill it, but he hasn't seen what's going on. Now he's going to, as he walked down, not that he went down, he walked down with the 2 tablets. And when Moses he heard and saw them singing and celebrating. It had to be a celebration, which that's kind of what they were doing. So I needed to add that. And then when he saw the ox idol, here I'm having to put idol, because that's what they actually made, was an idol. So I've had to use the word idol here. And then he dropped the tablets and they broke into pieces. Shattered, I don't like the word shattered. That means very, very tiny pieces. And I don't think that's true. So it broke into pieces. Okay. And that's more true. It's only probably from his arm height to the ground. So was he still coming down on the rocks? Most likely. And burned it with fire and then ground it into pieces. He took not the calf, but the idol, burned it with fire and ground it into pieces. This means it couldn't have been a molted item. Again, here, they switch words so quickly that I'm hoping you're starting to understand that there's a lot of oversalted words. I know you read the sugar in the text and you like that text, and that's what our Creator gave you to do, gave you to understand, so you could come closer to Him, so our Creator can accept you into heaven. And the thing here is now at this time in mankind's timeline on earth, this is His new message, not this specific text, but His hidden formats. These are the best I can get, and they're a second reference, not a first reference. A great evil upon himself, not a sin. Even though it is a sin, they did not know it was. This is our Creator talking about. To be against our Creator is evil. Everything else is a wickedness. So I've kind of made sure that the word evil is always tied to completely being against our Creator. So I'll use the word evil and not sin, because he still hasn't told. I mean, the order isn't here, but I don't believe he come down and talked to him and then said, hey, this is the 12 commandments. Maybe he did. Maybe I've got that mixed up in my mind right now, and then he went up and got them from him, because I don't know where this is going to go in the text. I'm thinking this is one of the most confusing parts that's in our Creator's hidden formats as well. But have to do with the best of what's left over from the text. And now I must ask Wyvie what's going on to what to do with them, because over here, he's going to stand, he stood by his gate and spake to everyone. And everyone would have been those people that had done that, and all the elders, and probably many more than the elders. But you can't speak to all 500,000 people at that time, 400,000 people at that time. So don't get carried away with the word everyone and saying, oh, they all gather. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. Doesn't mean. Okay. Just saying. Everyone involved in this problem. And yes, I'm sure the other elders were there kind of saying, what's going on here, whatever. And who is for Wyvie? Gather together to be apart from those that are not for him. I have to say, I have to use these words, and these words are because down here, then Wyvie killed the people, okay? Didn't smote them, he just killed them for what they did, okay? And if Abram was involved, Aaron would have been dead as well, but he wasn't killed. So now they're going to depart from Israel, or going to part from camp. And like I said, this text is out of order, and I will lead them from here. And yet, you can tell the order of things that this is just really, really out of order. And he's telling them that, yes, I'm going to lead them into the promised land now. I didn't use the word promised land, but to the land I swore to Abram and Israel. I didn't need Isaac. I needed the two main characters here, or two main individuals. I'm using the word descendant only down here. Here is another time that our Creator is calling it, he called it a tent of meeting. So it's a tent of meeting with our Creator. They need to atone, so they have to meet with our Creator to check for the forgiveness if it's true. So never ever say it's a tabernacle, a sanctuary. It was a tent, and then it was made a house for meeting with our Creator. Okay, see, now that he's going to lead them out, but here, this is telling the story that they had been around for a while, and whenever Moses walked into the tent, now this was before, actually, this has to be right after they made the tent, but is it? I don't want to get into that, and I'm wasting time thinking about it. But this is what happened when Moses walked to the tent. And I guess what I'll say, this has got to be after the is the anointment of the priest, because there has to be a certain time in between there. Did he, was it 2-3 weeks before it's set up? Well, if you know the stories, there's going to be this argument that hasn't taken place, so it'll all come together though. Not gazed, but watched him until they entered the gate for his tent. They haven't entered his tent. Well, remember, the desert is going to be a pretty flat area except for the hills. They don't camp on the hills. They're too rocky. They're going to be on the flattest surface. And there's remember, there's a fence that's around it, so they couldn't see him go into the tent. But when he went through the gate, then, and after Moses walked to his tent, he didn't go into the tent. He doesn't need to, but he needs to walk to his tent in a pillar of cloud would descend. We know where heaven is at, so we now know that it is that he descended from heaven, comes down. So you have this visual of what's going on, and he stood at the entrance. Now I'm putting him at the entrance, and our Creator would speak to him. Was he inside his tent? I guess this is going to be one of those that might get changed later. So don't think the text is complete here or even when I'm done with what I'm going to post. When all the text gets together from different stories and you're seeing pieces of different stories in different books, and just wait until you get when I get to show you the Kings and Chronicles and how goofy that setup is. That's really a mess. Our people would bow to worship him. Needed the word bow. Um, you just don't worship. You show by bowing. You're showing that you worship him. Um, spake to him face to face. Just see now it's that in the cloud he's actually a physical being, just as Abraham saw him talking to Moses face to face. So did he descend in the cloud in the tent, then walked out to meet Moses and talk to him face to face? I think that at some time that when this all happens here, he would have been told to come in from the entrance, that I'm here now, come in and we'll talk. So that's why I've got him at the entrance here, and then he would speak to him. And we see it would be face to face. So does that order of me putting the word entrance here, I think it's correct. I mean, I've thought about this stuff all the time. But I mean, anyways, as a man speaks to a friend until he ascended, then we have to have our Creator exiting. So the story isn't there, but all of a sudden, when you find out I need a verse to meet the format here, three verse, well, there he is until he ascended. And then Moses would return to his wife and son. So here, Moses has a son here, and I had to add the word wife and son. He wouldn't have sent just his wife away. His son was too young, needed to be watched. His wife would have watched over him. So 38 minutes here. Okay. Now Moses is commanded to hew out, not cut out, hew out 2 more stones, like the 4 ones that were shattered. Here I'm using the word shattered. It's better used shattered here, but I want to make sure that when people look for shattered, it was broken in pieces, not completely into tiny things. That would be the words we would use today, and making sure, trying to stay to their time and the way their words would have been used. And then here he remade the tablets for him, went up with the tablets, and then our Creator descended up to that hill, and it comes all the way down here to where this verse is going to go with this verse. That's what these mean. Go look for the 3rd verse. This is the 3rd verse. And I'm going to make a promise before your people. Okay. I'm going to end it here because he's going to tell them that there's a promise with these 12 commandments. And it's very important to understand that. So I will try to make another video and get it done sometime today.